2025 might just be the single greatest year in JRPG history. We've had amazing games like Trails Through Daybreak 2, Saga Frontier 2 Remastered, and Fantasy Life I, but it doesn't look like 2025 is slowing down. Stick around because we're going to take a look at 10 fantastic JRPGs that you need to keep your eyes on. I've been playing JRPGs for over 30 years, and 2025 is starting to remind me of the summer of 2000, where we had banger after banger of JRPGs like Final Fantasy IX and Vanguard Bandits, and I am here for it. If you love JRPGs as much as I do, make sure to hit that subscribe button because this year is looking to be wild, and I intend on covering each and every one of these games, and that's definitely something you don't want to miss out on. Today, we're counting down 10 upcoming JRPGs that you need to keep on your radar for 2025. From highly anticipated remasters to killer remakes and ambitious new titles, this list is packed with games that could define the next generation. Let's dive on in. Let's start this list with a remake of the very first entry of one of the most ambitious RPG franchises to ever exist. The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky first chapter being released by Falcom and scheduled for release on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, and PC on September 19th, 2025. Oh, and there's a Nintendo Switch 2 digital upgrade for it, costing $1. At that point, why not give it for free? Oh well. Anyways, Trails in the Sky, it's finally getting a remake. I've mentioned time and time again how much I love the Sky arc when it comes to Trails. It's by far my favorite that the entire series has to offer, though Daybreak is coming close. So naturally, when there was a remake announced, I was in it to win it. This is probably one of my most anticipated games of the year, which is really saying something because this year is absolutely backstacked. I've played through the PlayStation 5 demo already, and this game is definitely looking like the best way to remake a classic RPG. The country of Liberl looks amazing. The 3D models look great. There's a whole slew of new mechanics, and the combat is a strange cross between Trails in the Sky and Trails Through Daybreak, featuring a hybrid turn-based and action battle system. Honestly, this remake gives me very high hopes for the series. The Trails series by nature has a huge barrier to entry, with its 13 games all building upon the previous game in the series. It's a pretty huge ask for someone that just wants to get into the series. Furthermore, with the original Trails in the Sky release being from all the way back in 2004, it's kind of dated and inaccessible unless you're a PC gamer or have a PSP kicking around. With this remake, it's going to open the franchise to a whole crew of new players and give a great new entry point. With any luck, we'll see remakes of the rest of the Sky arc and Crossbell as well. Keep an eye out for this one because it's definitely going to be something special. Next, we're going to go from a nostalgic series to something new, a brand new indie RPG. Wander Stars, being released by Paper Castle Games and scheduled for September 19th, 2025 on PC and Nintendo Switch. Honestly, I hadn't heard anything about this game until I was researching for this video. The moment I saw Wander Stars, I fell in love with that aesthetic. It looks like it's an anime fresh out of the 90s, and the animation is incredibly crisp. It gave me immediate Samurai Pizza Cat vibes. As I looked into it, Wander Stars seems to use a word combining system to create special attacks. You can combine words like Ice and Shield for a defensive move or Super Fire Kick for a flaming physical attack. This entire mechanic immediately made me think of Ruja no Hiho, or Treasures of the Rudra for the Super Nintendo. That game also had a mechanic where you would create your own spells by naming them. Not exactly the same as Wander Stars, but it's somewhat familiar. I wasn't sure what to expect from Wander Stars, but there is a demo on Steam, so I decided to give it a shot, and it is fun. My only real concern is the user interface. It took a little getting used to, but once I did, I had a blast with it. Now, while I am looking forward to this game and it has been wishlisted, it does have me a bit worried. It's out on September 19th. That's the same day as the aforementioned Trails in the Sky first chapter. While I am looking forward to that as well, I really hope it doesn't completely overshadow Wander Stars, which kind of seems inevitable at this point, but I'm sure Wander Stars will catch some people's interest, especially with that old anime look it has going on. Gust is back with a new Atelier entry, and I, for one, am excited for it. Atelier Resleriana, Red Alchemist, and the White Guardian is scheduled for release on September 26, 2025 for the PlayStation 5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I absolutely adore the Atelier series. I remember starting off with the Atelier Iris and Monokemia series, and since then, I've really enjoyed it. There's just something about a game that's more slice of life than impending doom that really gives it this unique feeling that most other RPGs just don't capture. Now, truth be told, I haven't looked too much into this one because it's Atelier, I'm gonna buy it regardless. But from what I understand, it started off as a mobile gacha title under the same name, but it hit end of service back in March of 2025 before it was able to complete the story. So it was adapted into a full-on console release, and it's more of a traditional Atelier game. This is a good thing because I really do not like gacha games. In fact, the moment that I hear a game is gacha, I immediately get turned off to it and lose complete interest in what the game may or may not have to offer. Resleriana seems to be leaning towards the fan service of the series because it features several characters from past games in the franchise, such as Sophie from Atelier Sophie, Vane from Monokemia, and Totori from Atelier Totori. I've really loved the direction that the Atelier series has been going as of late. By removing the time limits in games such as the Ryza Trilogy and more recently with Yumiya, it's made it much more accessible. So I have no reason to doubt that Resleriana is going to be just as amazing. This actually isn't the only time Atelier is going to be mentioned today because Gust has much more planned for us this year. This is the one that I'm most excited about. Final Fantasy Tactics is finally back, and not just as a simple remaster. The Ivalice Chronicles is an HD 2D remaster of the Square Enix classic and is scheduled for release on September 30th, 2025 for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S consoles, PC, Nintendo Switch, and Switch 2. Even if on the Switch 2 it is a game keycard. Terrible, stop it! The job system of Final Fantasy Tactics is still one of the most flexible ever created. You can turn a knight into a mage, a monk into an archer, and craft crazy hybrid builds that feel so rewarding when you build that one job combination that completely breaks the game in the best way possible. And as for the story, I won't go into it, but it's downright fantastic. It dives deep into emotional territory, covering family, betrayal, loss, and royalty. I remember when I first played Final Fantasy Tactics, I had just finished Final Fantasy VII and was aching for a new Final Fantasy game. So I picked up Final Fantasy Tactics. It was cheap, and if I loved the last game I played, why wouldn't I love this one? At first, I was a bit thrown off because I went from these full-on 3D models with dynamic camera angles and a steampunk-like environment to this medieval-looking isometric viewpoint and 2D sprites, and the combat is grid-based with battles that take forever. This was kind of strange for me. I hadn't had a huge amount of tactical experience, so I felt a bit betrayed myself. However, once I started playing it, that combat clicked, and the story had me engaged non-stop. At least until I got to that fight, where I had to spend about an hour and a half running and shouting so I could actually outspeed and beat the boss, and not need to start the game right from scratch. Now, Square Enix is going all in with this remake. There's full voice acting, there's animated cutscenes, a rebalanced combat system that keeps the original challenge without the frustration, and even some hinted new story content to tie deeper into the Ivalice timeline. My only disappointment is it's based on the original release, so it doesn't have all the extra content that was added in the PSP port War of the Lions. Even then, Final Fantasy Tactics set the standard for tactical RPGs, and it's finally getting the modern love it deserves. If you have never experienced it, this is the perfect time, and if you have, well, get ready to lose another 100 hours of your life. With that being said, are you enjoying today's list? Well, I have plenty more lists like this planned, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. It is such a great time to be a Digimon fan. Time Stranger looks like the biggest shakeup the series has seen in years. Scheduled for release on October 2nd, 2025 for the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC, this one has me excited. We've had some fantastic entries into the Digimon franchise, such as Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, but this one, it's leaning hard into a time travel concept, and that opens the doors for some really bold storytelling. From what we know, the game is built on a split timeline structure. One path set in a near-future digital world, and another centuries later where Digimon and humans coexist in a fragile balance. You'll be jumping between these timelines, and the choices you make in the past literally rewrite the future. That's a mechanic that I've been waiting for in a Digimon RPG for years. I am not the biggest Digimon fan, but I did grow up reading the comics and watching the anime. I loved both Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. It appears that the core gameplay is still that monster-raising goodness that fans love, with turn-based battles and deep Digi-evolution paths. I am incredibly excited to mess around with different types of Digimon. I love seeing what I can evolve my Digimon into to create an amazing team. I spent so many hours evolving and devolving in the previous Digimon story titles, and I'm ready to spend another 100 or so hours doing it all over again. Visually, the game looks slick. Think the anime aesthetic of Cyber Sleuth, but sharper with dynamic battle animations that really make it feel like your Digimon are alive. And they're promising a darker tone this time around, which honestly fits the time paradox theme perfectly. And that's really saying something considering Cyber Sleuth initially was all about murders. For longtime fans, this feels like the bold next step the franchise needed. And if you've never played a Digimon game before, this could be the one that hooks you. October 2nd cannot come soon enough. So after jumping through time with Digimon, it feels only fitting that our next big stop is another game that's rewriting its own legacy, Pokemon Legends Z-A, dropping October 16th for the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. And hey, guess what? There's no keycard. If you played Pokemon Legends Arceus, or Pokemon Legends Arceus, I don't even know how that's pronounced. But anyways, you already know how big of a shakeup Pokemon Legends Arceus was for the series. Well, Z-A is aiming to take that concept even further, but this time, we're heading to Lumio City in the Kalos region. And instead of being in some sleepy frontier setting, you're in an urban open world that feels more alive, more modern, and just full of vertical exploration. Honestly, Legends Arceus wasn't my favorite in the Pokemon franchise. I played these games for the adventure and journey, and having it in a hub town and featuring segmented zones kind of killed it for me. Not to mention, I don't play Pokemon games to capture 20, 30, 40, 50 of the same kind of Pokemon over and over and over. Legends Arceus wasn't a bad game by any means, but it was not my favorite. Being stuck in Lumio City makes me worried about this one, but it's Pokemon, so I kinda have to give it a shot. Game Freak is really leaning into the city's architecture for this one. Instead of just running around flat plains, you can scale towers, explore underground networks, and piece together a story that digs into the city's origins. The story actually is something that interests me. This one sounds way more ambitious. Z-A is tying directly into Kalos' deep lore, including that mysterious ultimate weapon and the war that's always loomed in the background of X and Y. It feels like they're finally paying off that narrative thread fans have speculated on for years. But what I'm really excited for are the return of Mega Evolutions. Yes, after years of fans begging for it, Z-A is reviving one of the most beloved mechanics in the series. Combine that with the open world design and real-time catching from Legends Arceus, you've got a game that feels like it's blending the best parts of modern and classic Pokemon. I'll be honest, I'm not super excited for it, but if they nail the atmosphere exploration and give us a meaningful story tied to Kalos' lore, this could easily become one of the most iconic Pokemon titles ever, and I cannot wait for October 16th. After exploring the thrill of Kalos and Pokemon Legends Z-A, we're stepping all the way back to the 80s, to where JRPGs as we know them began. On October 31st, Square Enix is releasing Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, a gorgeous HD 2D remake of the original games that define the genre, and honestly, this is kind of a massive deal. Not just for nostalgia, but for anyone who wants to see the roots of modern JRPG design. The first two Dragon Quest games were simple in concept, but they were revolutionary in execution. You start with a lone hero in Dragon Quest 1, setting out to defeat the Dragon Lord and save the kingdom. It's as classic fantasy storytelling is. Hero, villain, and the open world to explore. Dragon Quest II expands that formula, introducing multiple protagonists and a larger, more intricate map with dungeons, towns, and secrets that laid the groundwork for decades of JRPGs to come. And the remake is introducing a brand new character in the addition to the original 3, bringing the party to a grand total of 4. What's exciting about this HD 2D remake is how it balances faithfulness with modern polish. The sprite work is charming, the environments, they feel alive, and the UI has been reworked so these decades-old classics are easier to navigate without losing any of their original magic. Combat remains turn-based and strategic, just as it always was, but now it's easier on the eyes and much easier to manage. Perfect for both longtime fans and newcomers who want to experience the origins of Dragon Quest without the frustrations of the original systems. And you can't talk about Dragon Quest without mentioning the music. The iconic Koichi Sugiyama score has been fully reorchestrated, giving the story a fresh, cinematic feel while keeping the timeless sense of adventure. Playing these games is like looking at the DNA of every JRPG that followed, from Tales to Final Fantasy to even Pokemon itself. For anyone curious where JRPGs all began, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD is perfect to step into that history and to understand why these simple stories and systems continue to influence games even today. After experiencing the very beginnings of the JRPG genre with Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, it's amazing to see how the series and the genre as a whole has come. And being released that very same day, we get Tales of Xillia Remastered, launching on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC. A modern classic that balances fast-paced action, deep character-driven storytelling, and a world that feels absolutely alive. It's the perfect way to go from the roots of the genre to a high point in JRPG design, showing just how far we've come with the entire genre. Xillia originally dropped on the PlayStation 3 back in 2011, and it was a game changer for the series at the time. It introduced a dual protagonist system, letting you experience the story from either Jude's or Mila's perspective. Two characters with completely different outlooks on life, tangled up in this conflict that questions morality, faith, and responsibility. It's one of the most emotionally engaging Tales stories, and it still holds up today. Xillia is getting that typical remaster treatment that we've all grown to love in the last few years. Enhanced HD visuals, improved textures, and a smoother frame rate across all platforms. And yes, I know you're asking, the game will feature dual audio, so whether you want to experience the Japanese voices or stick to that classic English dub that we all fell in love with, you're covered. That being said, I do feel there are better options for Tales remasters. Maybe something that isn't already in HD, like Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Legendia, or one of the many pre-Symphonia games. Yes, it's nice that Tales of Xillia is no longer trapped on the PlayStation 3, but it seems kind of strange to me that they wouldn't include the sequel as well. Honestly, I could do a whole video on my thoughts about this remaster and why it was a terrible choice. If you've never played Xillia before, this is the perfect time to jump in. The character skit system, which was iconic for Tales games, feels even more charming now, and the linked combat system still offers some of the most satisfying action-based battles in the franchise. And let's not forget that this remaster also includes all of the DLC costumes and extras bundled in from the original release, so you're getting a complete experience. Tales is among one of my favorite JRPG series of all time, and as a result, Xillia holds a special place in my heart. It's the game that really pushed the Tales series into modern JRPG storytelling. Seeing it get a second life on modern hardware just feels right. And if you missed it the first time, do not sleep on this one. Tales of Xillia Remastered is going to remind everyone why this series is so beloved. Now, Tales of Xillia Remastered, it has insane emotional highs, but it's time to step into something a little more relaxed. On November 13th, the Atelier Ryza Deluxe Trilogy releases, bringing together all three of Ryza's beloved adventures on Nintendo Switch, Switch 2, PlayStation 5, and PC. For fans who followed our journey, or for newcomers curious about the series, this is the ultimate way to experience the complete story in one package. I know people will disagree, but I personally feel like the Ryza trilogy is the absolute best entry point for new people interested in the series. Ryza's trilogy has always been about growth, friendship, and the magic of discovery. It's not about that the world is coming to an end, and that's kind of nice. From humble beginnings on a small island to exploring sprawling continents and unraveling those alchemy mysteries, each game builds on our story in a way that's heartfelt, charming, and incredibly deep from what you see at first glance. You're not just crafting items and battling monsters. As per the usual for the Atelier series, you're investing in characters that you genuinely care about, and you get to see them evolve over time. This deluxe edition isn't just a straight port though. You're getting enhanced visuals, updated UI, and all of the previously released DLC bundled in, making it the definitive experience. They're also adding new story to it, so it's a must play. The alchemy system, which has always been the heart of the series, feels smoother and more intuitive than ever, letting you experiment freely and craft exactly what you need for exploration and combat. And don't worry, the combat uses a turn-based action style, and it's an absolute blast, with each Ryza game adding new mechanics that keep battles fresh across the trilogy. For longtime fans, this collection is a beautiful way to relive Ryza's journey in modern polish, and for newcomers, it's the perfect entry point into the Atelier series. It's whimsical, rewarding, and full of personality. From crafting bombs to exploring hidden dungeons, the Atelier Ryza Deluxe Trilogy reminds us why these games hold such a special place in the JRPG landscape. And finally, we reached the last game on our list, Octopath Traveler 0, launching on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S consoles, as well as PC on December 4th. After the heartfelt adventure of Ryza's trilogy, this game takes us all the way back to Orstera, long before the events of the original series, giving fans a chance to explore the world's origins while still delivering that signature HD 2D style we all love. Unlike previous Octopath games, this isn't about 8 predetermined heroes. Instead, you create your own protagonist and recruit allies from a pool of over 30 characters, letting you shape your party however you like. Combat remains turn-based and strategic, but the game expands on the series' systems with deeper tactical options and more ways to exploit enemy weaknesses. It's familiar, but it's also fresh, giving longtime fans new challenges while also welcoming newcomers. One of the most exciting additions for Octopath Traveler 0 is the new town building mechanic. As you explore, you'll restore and expand your hometown, constructing buildings and inviting companions to live there. This kind of reminds me of Narende from Bravely Default or the Traveler Town from Dragon Quest VII. The townspeople provide resources, items, and even story beats to make your choices seem to actually matter. It adds a layer of immersion and personalization that makes this prequel stand out from anything we've ever seen in the series before. Narratively, Octopath Traveler 0 dives into the origins of Orstera's conflicts, with subtle connections to the main games that long fans are going to appreciate. And of course, the visuals and soundtracks are everything we expect from a series known for its charm. Breathtaking HD 2D environments, beautifully animated battles, and an orchestral score that elevates every single moment. Ending our countdown with Octopath Traveler 0 feels perfect. It's a game that celebrates the series' history while adding bold new mechanics and freedoms. For anyone looking for strategic battles, rich exploration, and the joy of just shaping your own story in Orstera, this is the game to close out 2025's must-watch JRPGs. And that's a wrap on our list of 10 upcoming JRPGs that you need to keep your eye on in 2025. From the tactical brilliance of Final Fantasy Tactics to the sprawling adventures of Octopath Traveler 0, this year is shaping up to be an incredible year for fans of the JRPG genre. If you enjoyed this roundup, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any upcoming JRPG coverage. I'd also like to hear from you. Which of these games are you most excited for? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. Thanks so much for watching. This has been Shanky. I'll see you in the next video, and have a wonderful day.